we're going to discuss the banning of private sales of firearms, universal background checks, and how they're going to enforce this. Okay, this is another big question. Now, I already did the video where I told you in that, I don't know how many pages, it's again hundreds of pages of the ATF's changing the definition of a dealer and also kind of banning any type of private sale without some sort of background check or things like that. Basically what I think they would want you to do is to go to a dealer with your 4473s, and there is a section, and I pointed this out, where it's private sale. Okay. It's a way of trying to force universally, if you sell a weapon, a background check. Which, you know, in the past, 22 shotguns and that, nobody really did that. So now they're getting more control. And, but the curious thing is, reading down, when the guy was reading down all of these stipulations that defines you as a dealer, in other words, if you buy a gun, sell a gun, okay, you know, you're a dealer. Well, if you're tired of the gun or want a new gun, you know, how do you go about selling it, okay, without being classified as a dealer? And so this whole list of stuff, and one of them that caught my eye, which I was pretty curious, and this legislation, it's not good. They say if you store the guns in the original factory packaging or something, which this pistol come in this hard case, which is the original factory packaging. When I went to the store and bought it, there was no cardboard box, there was no nothing. This is it. This is original factory packaging. The gun is in there, the paperwork is in there, the lock and all that. And I believe I folded up the sales receipt and I tuck it in with the owner's manual to kind of keep track of what I paid for these guns. So, under their thing, because of this, you know, however they would find it in my possession, does that make me a dealer of firearms? And there's a lot of guns that come that way. All the Canacs come with a hard case. There's several of them. They all have hard cases, and that's the original factory packaging. And I do keep them and store them in the hard cases. That's one of the things when I review a pistol is, you know, how is it shipped? The hard case is nice. You just carry it to the range. But see, that's where it gets weird. So, the big question is, we all know what they're trying to do. They're making it difficult for us to sell firearms, like if you sell on a gun broker, where, okay, it is not illegal, okay, for me to list something on a gun broker and in an auction say, I will send this to your FFL, does he accept firearms from a private citizen? This is not illegal, okay? Some gun shops will not do it. The big box stores will not take private transfers. So you have to go to a small dealer who they are under attack and are trying to revoke their licenses. And you get a gun dealer say, yeah, I'll do it, you know. And you would send the pistol with all your pertinent information, you know, according to the guidelines of the carriers, to the individual, and then everything's run, you know, goes on his books. He does the background check when you show up, fill out the paperwork, everything's legal. Well, the difficulty I've found with this, on top of all this other nonsense that they're planning to put in, is a lot of the carriers, like UPS, the post office has some kind of new regulation or something about shipping firearms and that, and it's just getting difficult to get the carriers to take a firearm for you, because like I believe under the law, if I'm sending a gun to be repaired to a factory or something, okay, I can send it, and I did. I sent mine in for warranty work and it was taken by FedEx, and not a problem. They issued me a label, I put it on a box, put it in a box, and I sent it to them. Okay, simple as that. So that is not illegal. but they're hassling us to the point where this is getting crazy. So now going back to this thing, say they pass this and it's going to be September next year, and, just for the election, it's going to be a mayhem. How do they enforce it? Okay. How do they know you're doing it? How do they know if you sold a gun? Okay. And this is the part where kind of warning you to be aware. They have either informants or they set up a sting operation. Okay? And I have seen this happen in the past. After a certain mass shooting, the flea markets and the gun shows, they had a thing and they said, look, why don't we just enforce the laws we have all them years ago, and this is a while back, instead of changing the law and demanding legislation to do that. And they did this here locally. They went out and found people just selling handguns without no bill of sale or anything. And they went out, found people, and arrested them for this. Okay, the ATF did. Or I think in conjunction with the state police. And one of the ways they do it is in my state, you have to fill out a bill of sale, and that person either has to have a concealed carry permit or a permit to purchase a handgun issued by the sheriff's department. And according to state law, which is still on the books, if I just hand somebody a handgun without checking his ID or seeing that check, I could be in trouble. Okay. The other thing is, how they set you up with a sting is they'll send somebody that's a convicted felon. And I've heard of this. There was a guy selling a bunch of guns and competing with this, and he kind of pissed off some individuals. And what they did is they just sent this guy, they will send him, law enforcement or whoever will send someone that is a known felon, that's their informant or operative or whatever, and you sell them anything. You sell them a .22 and you don't ask for any ID or nothing in that. And they ended up burning this guy. And if you willingly and knowingly sell a gun to a convicted felon, I've heard of this, they come into your house, they confiscate everything. You're in a world of shit, you're facing federal charges. It is a big felony. And one guy, his gun collection and everything he had is gone, and it ain't never coming back. Okay, and I don't think they still ain't gone through the courts. And, unless you get bailed out or something, you can end up in prison, like, immediately. Alright, so that's something you gotta watch out for. And if they're gonna go to this level, that's how they're gonna enforce it, or they're gonna burn you. Alright? The law in reality, and I know some of you guys will comment, it is almost impossible to enforce. Okay? But what they will do is they are going to, once they put this in, they are going to go out and make an example. They want to show that this legislation is working. So be very careful on what you do in the future here. Okay, because like I said, even without this new ruling, I've seen people that were, and that's what they were doing. They did not have a license. They were just selling a bunch of guns at a flea market or a gun show, and they got burned. Okay, so that's the thing there. So I guess we'll have to wait and see how this goes. It's being pushed because one of the political things that's going on now, on top of everything else, the economy collapsing in war, is the gun violence and pushing this. This one, I don't think is going to go away that easy, much like I was talking about the pistol braces and like polymer 80 pistols. If you want to, they made it difficult, more difficult, to complete the job and get an semblance of the parts. You could still do it if you want, okay, but it's a lot more difficult. This, on the other hand, you're going to see locally, they're going to want to make examples of somebody. So this is where you got to be careful and on what you do, and basically pretty much obey all the local laws and restrictions on this. Okay, that's the only way to save your ass. You be cautious. Okay, when all this is going to come down, and things are going to in the future here with everything, but the gun control and everything else, it's going to get worse as it goes closer to this election year. All right, guys, hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned.